Hello, everyone. Thanks for watching. I'm David Hopper, Austin Bureau Chief of the music site 360degreesound.com. The 2025 South by Southwest Music Festival is upon us. It's March 10th to 15th in Austin, Texas. And we at 360 Degree Sound will be bringing you exclusive interviews with artists as part of our South by Southwest Artist Spotlight Series. Today, I'm joined by rapper Jae Skeese, who will be who will be performing at Antone's on March 13th at 11:20 p.m. Jae Skeese is a Buffalo, New York native, signed to rapper Conway the Machine's drumwork music group imprint. Jae Skeese has carved his niche in the hip hop landscape by intertwining his gritty street narratives with introspective reflections, offering a vivid portrayal of his upbringing and the realities of urban life. Skeese's dynamic flow, coupled with his soulful storytelling prowess, has set him apart in the crowded hip hop scene. Jay, thanks for joining 363 Sound.
Peace, man.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me. How you feeling?
oh, doing great. Yeah, let's get right to it. I saw you got a tour going for supporting your latest album, Ground Level, and you even had a show this past weekend in Chicago, right?
Yeah, man. We've been on the ground level tour since really like the top of February. So we've hit Toronto. We were in Boston. We hit Chicago this last weekend. And then we had one other show as well in Cleveland. At the top of February. So it's been dope, man, to be on the road. This is my first solo run. So yeah, it's been good to see the love out there on the road, man, and looking forward to continuing the ground level tour. The next date, last final date on this leg is actually on the 15th of this month, so in Denver. So
Okay, awesome. That's great. Uh, so I'll try to give our readers a little, introduction to you if they aren't familiar. I understand you've been at the been in the hip hop game for a while now, dropping your first mixtape in 2010. So for the people who maybe haven't got a chance to listen to your music, if you could please kind of give us a brief summary of your career and how you got to where you are today.
yeah, man. So like you said, I put out my first, and I had worked prior to this, to I'm sorry, not to this, to 2010 with the whack mixtape, it's Women, Alcohol, Cash, and Kicks. That was all I was about at the time. But I had, some work prior to that. But I put that out in 2010, and that was like where I said, I'm Jae Skeese, I'm the solo, artist Jae Skeese, and just trying to make my mark here in Buffalo, New York. And from there, I put out a few other mixtapes, like Gray Tape. I had Negative Nothing, and my first street album. It was called In Search of Symmetry. And then I had a few other mixtapes that I put out over, between like the 2010s, really. In 2020, I put out, it was again, just an independent project called Asphalt Calligraphy. I'm sorry, yeah, Asphalt Calligraphy. And that was like the project that, I put out right before I signed to Conway in 2021. Um, so since I've signed to Conway, I've been on, a bunch of features on like Conway the Machine's albums. I was on his studio debut on God Don't Make Mistakes. And then some of the other, albums that he's put out on the Drumwork imprint over the last few years. And then in 2023, I put out my first Drumwork album called Abolish Uncertainties. Me and Conway that same year we put out another album. It's a joint album called Pain Provided Profit. And then in 2024, I put out two albums. I had um, what was it called? Testament of the Times with Superior. It was a joint album. And then I had Ground Level. That's the album that I put out now that I'm kind of touring and promoting. Yeah, and then at the top of this year, I put out just a short EP type project. It was called 40 Hours, so that's my latest. But I've been promoting the Ground Level album in 40 Hours and everything else that I put out in between. I have an album with Big Ghost, who's real big in the underground. And yeah, so I've just been grinding, man, these last few years. Outside of just doing features with Conway, I've been pretty much on the road with him everywhere that he's been, whether it's been over in Europe or Canada. And then on his last run for the Slant Face Killer album, I was actually direct support on that tour. So it was Conway with Jae Skeese. And we did like 13 or 14 dates last summer. And yeah, so from there, I've just been trying to just continue to stake my claim in the game, and put on for myself and make sure that every time I go out there, I'm just giving it my all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's great. Well, it sounds like your career has a lot of momentum now, so that's exciting. And I was wondering if you could talk about what, signing to Conway's drum work. What seems like that was a big moment in your career. Would you say? Or
Yeah, it was a huge moment because I feel like Conway, he really gave me just a bigger platform. And I think that was the thing that I was missing early. I did a lot of work here in Buffalo, like doing shows, and I used to put on ciphers, and I was just doing everything I could to really get more awareness about what I was doing. And with signing to drum work, and it was a new thing too at the time. Conway was like, at the height of his career at the time. He had just put out From King to a God, and that did really well for him. So, it was kind of a combination of things. I was the first signee to his label as well. So it just brought a whole new light kind of to what I bring to the game, and my skills and everything, man. So, and then on top of that, I had never really been on the road before. Like, I did countless shows like here in Buffalo, opening up for artists. I opened up for Schoolboy Q here, Absol, Talib Kweli, a lot of artists, man, when they would come through Buffalo. But going on the road and performing, I had only performed maybe in New York maybe once or twice, and Cleveland maybe once or twice, and that was it. But to go over to to Europe and go to Amsterdam and Paris and London and go here and there, that wouldn't have came without signing to Conway. And not saying that I wouldn't have figured it out myself, but that opportunity came with signing to Conway for sure.
yeah, absolutely. Um, well, I understand that Buffalo has emerged as really a hip hop hotspot. Not only Conway and yourself, but West Side Gun and Benny the Butcher have really become big names in hip hop. So I wonder if you could, for our viewers and readers who maybe aren't that familiar, if you could tell us a little bit about the hip hop scene in Buffalo and what it's like being a part of that.
I mean, for a real long time, Buffalo, we were just kind of slept on, with us being a part of New York State, but not, being 6 hours away from New York City.
Mm.
People didn't really want to give us a chance because obviously, hip hop was created there in New York. So if you're not from the five boroughs, it's like, you're not really a part of it. So I feel like Buffalo, with knowing that, just being slept on for so long, it was almost like a breeding ground for, MCs, and, it created a big amount of like hunger here. And, it was a thing where, to come up here, you had to battle, you had to have skills. Um, and yeah, it's like, there's so many talented artists here that I know of even today, that are still, fighting and scraping, trying to get get their name out and continue to just put on for themselves. So that's kind of how it is here in Buffalo, man. Like, to be honest, it's like, and I think with what Wes, Benny, and Conway and Derringer, what they've been able to do, um, and with them cementing the legacy of like Buffalo and hip hop, it's definitely paved the way for myself and others. um, but now it's, people here, they actually know that it's possible. And I think that's like the number one takeaway from it for the city of Buffalo and for the hip hop scene here. People know that it's possible. It's just, it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of dedication, a lot of grinding.
Uh, Interesting. Um, yeah, well, I listened to the Ground Level album and yeah, really enjoyed it. Thought it held together real well. What if you could tell us a little bit about your approach to the Ground Level LP? Maybe what were some things you wanted to convey with that record?
I think the biggest thing that we wanted to show on Ground Level was just that I kind of made a level up from my previous album. So that's why you see some of like the elevated production and features. Like, for the first album, I was really just coming into the game, so I worked a lot with producers that I, had just met, up and coming producers, really. And there was two notable features on there with Freeway and Conway the Machine, and there are some other features on there as well. But pretty much everyone else that's featured on that album are all from Buffalo. Now, going to ground level, there's YG. He's affiliated with Justice League. There's we got we got what else we got on there?
Big
Static Selector. I'm sorry, I'm sitting here trying to think about it, racking my brain. But yeah, we got Static Selector on there. We got Ski Beats on there. So these are people that have been in the game for a really long time as far as production. And whenever you hear their production, they're bringing their individual sounds. It's something that sets them apart from everybody else. And then even with the features, man, like getting Big Crit on a record. Sauce Walker, Big Crit is one of my favorite artists ever, by the way. Sauce Walker, who's been on fire for the last few years and is also affiliated with Griselda. Getting Lloyd, he's been a R&B singer, great R&B singer in the game for a long time, associated with a lot of really dope acts as well. Dave East, everything that he's been able to do with the Wu-Tang show and putting out multiple albums, the cosign from Nas, it's like, even, going to the videos that we put out and put together, like shooting one of the videos in Houston at the Screw Tape store and, going over to London and shooting a video. It was just, we just wanted to show that I took a level up from what I did previously and that I could stand kind of on my own too with some of these, greats, some of these great producers and some of these great artists, that we featured on the album. That was like really the mindset and behind it, really with ground level. And, I think just the overall ground level message and mantra is like, yo, we started here, but we're building up into something. So again, that just kind of goes back to, what we try to do with the album pretty much.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned shooting your video in Houston. Have you ever been to Austin?
Yeah, so I've been to South by Southwest two times. I
Okay.
went in 2022, and then I was down there in 2023 as well. Conway and Drumwork, they put together a show that we did a few years ago, back in 2023. It was a great night too. Actually, we had did two shows that weekend. So we had one on I think a Friday and then on a Saturday as well. So and then in 2022, I didn't have a show, but I went to South by Southwest just to kind of see what it was like, and it was a definitely a great experience.
Yeah. Well, yeah. What do you hope to get out of your South by experience this year?
I mean, I definitely want to, now that I'm actually a part of like, South by Southwest officially, like I'm on an official show. I want to make sure, man, that I just make an impact. Obviously, I want to get more people in tune with what it is that I'm doing and what I'm building over here, with ground level and with all the different albums that I've been putting out and all the work I've been putting in. So that's like the biggest goal for sure. And then also, I just want to connect with some other artists that have things going on as well, because if you go to South by Southwest, 9 times out of 10, you have some type of like you got some type of like momentum going already, and you're just trying to find ways to continue to network and expand on that. So I think if you go down there with that mindset, you can really connect with some dope artists, and that's what I did previously. I was able to make some connections with artists and cameramen and people who do this and people who do that, all things that kind of tie in with what I do anyway. So that's like the main goal is really to just make sure that I'm gaining new fans, and with the other people, other artists that are there, just build connections. That's like the biggest thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Great. Great for networking. Um, yeah, I wonder if you could give us a little insight on your creative process and how your raps come together. I'm always fascinated by that. Is it something where you're like thinking of lyrics and writing all the time, or is it like more freestyling? Or if you could give us some insight into that
I'm
process.
definitely I'm definitely like more of a writer.
Mhm.
Um I think I'm not thinking of lyrics all the time, but sometimes you might sit there and you might be doing something and you say, "Hey, this is like this," or because I use a lot of like metaphors and similes.
Mhm.
So sometimes, I'll write something down, but 9 times out of 10, I'll just do all my work in the studio. Like I know what time it is. Before I signed to Conway and I saw how he worked, I used to always want to go to the studio prepared, and I would write everything out. Then I would go to the studio and I would go record. But the way I do it now, I'm more so, I want to wait until I'm in the studio so I can capture whatever, emotions I'm feeling, things that are on my mind, because that's what I talk about anyway. A lot of the time is, if you listen to the music, a lot of it is about what I'm going through in the moment, like at that time, and how I'm overcoming something, or the steps that I had to take, or just this situation and how I dealt with it. So that's usually like what I like to do because I like to capture how I'm feeling in that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And you've had some freestyle videos like on YouTube that have got a ton of views. I guess going on radio stations and whatnot. I've always been impressed with freestyling. Is that something you've always had a talent for, or is it something that you think you can kind of improve on as you work at it?
I feel like I can always get better, man. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like there's always room for improvement, and that's something that I enjoy too. I'm not gonna lie, like, I love going on there, showing my skills and showing what I can do. And I just want to continue to just get better.
Hmm.
To answer your question, I think there's always room for improvement in anything that you do. You can always be, you know, a better football player can be better at this, running this route, or basketball player can maybe shoot a higher percentage. And I don't look at rap as any different than that.
Hmm. Yeah. I just wondered if it's like to an extent like something you either have it or you don't, because or do you think that most people with enough work can get to where they can freestyle okay?
I think anybody can
Yeah.
honestly, like, it's no different than, I feel like, drawing a picture, right? Like you
Yeah.
got me and you got Picasso, right?
Yeah.
So it's like Picasso is great at what he does, but it's because he put in his 10,000 hours. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So it's literally no different. Like we all have the skills to do any and everything. It's just a matter of practicing and being dedicated to whatever it is.
Yeah. Cool. Um, well, yeah. Yeah, I guess finally, like I said, you got a show at Antone's March 13th, 11:20 p.m. Antone's, of course, is a legendary venue here in Austin. A lot of blues greats have played there in the probably 40, 50 years it's been around. But if you could kind of give us some insight on what your live shows are like, maybe what South by attendees can expect from your.
Uh, you know, whenever I'm doing my thing, man, I just want to get up there and I want to make you believe every word that I'm saying. It's some energy. It's a lot of crowd participation. I want you to put your hands up. I want you to, if I tell you to say something, I want you to scream that shit. You know what I mean? Like I want to make sure that we're all having a great experience. So that's usually my mindset at the shows. And again, like I'm a lyricist. I really rap. So I want to get up there and I want to rap to you. I want you to listen. You know what I'm saying? Like that's number one. So it's gonna be good energy. It's gonna be good vibes. um and at the end of the day, I want you to leave and say, yo, I'm a fan of Skis. Like I need to hear more. That's what I really want at the end of the day, is to leave you wanting more when you leave from the Jay Skeese show.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. No, thanks so much, Jay. Again, really enjoyed your album and looking forward to catching one of your live shows.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you for having me again, man. I appreciate it.
Sure thing. Take care.
All right, you too.
Bye.
Peace.